Hey there, welcome to a video of a different category. I've only done a diverse world and cities up to this point, but this is the Texas map, my home state, beaten in a perfect score in a time of 8 minutes and 25 seconds. I've liked the map so far. There's a good balance of rounds in cities, off of state highways, and on like smaller FM roads. So yeah, I was expecting the map to be easier actually, but there's two things that make it like artificially difficult. Number one, not all of the rounds start at intersections. It's harder to place the cursor close when you can't like gauge the distance to an intersection. And this wouldn't be too bad of a problem if it wasn't for number two. So to get 5,000 points on a round, you have to be within 25 meters. And for a state as big as Texas, I would have expected the perfect score, like the margin to get a perfect score, to be more lenient. But so it goes. Anyways, I don't want to go on for too long before the run starts. So yeah, here we go. I basically haven't been continuing runs that start far away from an intersection. This one starts at a bend in the road, so I let it continue. That recycle bin, I can't read anything on it, so I go to the intersection and it says Clint and West Harding, not to be confused with Rotherham defender Wes Harding. Nobody knows who that is. I think the blue signs are in San Antonio, but I'm not certain. When I check this sign for the apartment complex, it says 210, the area code, which is definitely San Antonio. I'm a big time nerd, and I made a Quizlet to learn all of the area codes in Texas since there aren't too many. I get to the light here. It says South Flores, and this is a major street in San Antonio, but I didn't know that at the time, so I definitely lost a lot of time looking for it. I take note of the idea school in the background, and this is when I go in and look for Flores. And you can see it's on the map. You can definitely see it when I zoom in there by the cursor, but I missed it, and so I start to check like sort of east, southeast San Antonio. Da-da-da-da. I spent a little bit of time scanning, but this is where I go out of the map, and I decided to go north, and I'm just going to look for another stoplight to see if I can find a major street that I'll be able to find on the map. And in just a couple seconds, I pull up on this light right here, and it says Southeast Military Drive. I figure I can find that one. I know there's like lots of different military sort of bases around San Antonio, so I look um, for them, and I zoom in on this one that says 13, and that's Military Drive right there. The compass is pointing due west, so I know that I'm not on any sort of stretch outside of that. So I start scanning, going to the west, and I zoom in on a couple roads that are difficult to see the names. Like that one right here. This one's Roosevelt, but the next one, it says Flores. And I finally pick it out. I remember I went north to get to Military Drive. So I look to the south. I find the idea school right there, and there's Harding. And then I recognize Clint and the bend in the road. So I go back to the start. I see that it's due south to get to Harding. So I put myself right at that bend, and I get the first 5,000. Number two, I'm by a Whataburger and I'm by a highway. The goal is to try to find the highway number and the city name from there. So I go to the exit ramp, and on the way there's some car dealerships. So I check them in case they have like the city name on the outside. Sames is like they advertise themselves as being the oldest dealership in Texas, but I didn't know where they were from. And so when I check it, the Ford right here, it says Kingsville. That's a city in South Texas, and I definitely spend more time than I should looking for it on the map. I should definitely know where Kingsville is, but I've never been, so I start kind of in West Texas and then work my way to South Texas, and I find it just outside of Corpus. I figured that the highway had to be the 77 right there, the US 77. I see the compass is pointing to the northeast, and most of the highway in the town runs to the north, so I figure we're on this section right here, but I didn't find the dealerships. And I didn't find it there either. That's a different dealership. So I wanted to find the road that the intersection was at, but when I get to the intersection, there's like no stop signs or stoplights, so I couldn't tell. So I had to get onto the highway from here and then look for like a green sign. So that's what I do. I'm getting onto the highway. There's the green sign. I just passed it. And it says FM 425, and then it also has a road name, Carlos Tron Boulevard. So I'm looking for the FM. You can see Carlos Tron on the screen, but then I zoom in and I see the 425. There's a car dealership, but again, it's not the right one. So what do I do here? I think I go back to the start. Yes, we're going back to the start. Back to the start. And we're by a Whataburger, by a Chili's, by the Sames's. And so I zoom in, I see Sames, and then I see Chili's, and then I see Whataburger, which doesn't have their parking lot on the map like the Chili's does, you can see. So I point the compass due west, and I try to sort of gauge how far away I am from the building. And I decided to make the guess there, and it was plenty close enough. Immediately here in round 3, I see a junction sign, and these are super helpful because they'll say the road that I'm on now and then the road that it intersects with. Really, I guess it just says the one it intersects with. So we're approaching the Texas 304, which is a state highway. We just passed a sign for Lang Lane, which I keep in mind. And then this green sign right here says I can turn right for Bastrop and left for Gonzales. And I'm very familiar with both of these places. Bastrop is just east of, well, it's east of Austin. And Gonzales is southeast, on the way between Austin and Corpus, which is where my parents grew up and is a trip I've done many times. So I put the cursor down and I go to the intersection to find out what road I'm on right now, but I actually can't get on the 304, so I have to like turn around, like it's preventing me from accessing. So I turn around and then I see an FM sign in the background, so that's going to tell me the road that I'm on. And when I zoom in, it says the FM 2571. So I look for that on the map. And in just a second we'll find it. There it is. I zoom in here and I see Lang Lane. And I put the cursor down and I go to the start, and now I have to try to figure out where exactly I am because there's no intersections. I can see the bend when I look to the northwest, so we're pretty close to that. And then I see another little road to the southeast, so I want to see how far away I am from that one. So we get past this group of trees, and there's the road right there. So I'm like kind of equidistant. I go back to the start. I put the cursor pretty equidistant, and I notice that it's close to this water spot on the map. When I look to the left, like to the west, I don't see the water spot, and I assume that that's where that block of trees is. I scooch the cursor up, and in the end, I'm close enough. Round number 4, I see tropical trees, so I know I'm by the Gulf. I zoom in on this sign, and I see 956 area code, which is that for the valley. And then I zoom in again under the Bogus Ford, the guy's name, and it says Harlingen, which is a city in the valley. So I was a little bit confused at this point because the valley is like the south part of Texas, and I was kind of expecting to be more closer to Corpus, which is a little bit farther north. That intersection there said Mansfield and Gulf, so we'll keep that in mind. And I'm just looking for like big intersections because this is not like Harlingen, this is too small, so I'm just looking for where like there will be like a highway name or whatnot. We just passed a sign there for the Charles Johnson Airport, so I keep that in mind. And then I see a water tower in the distance, so I go there because oftentimes that will have like the city name on it, and it does this time. It says Port Mansfield. So I zoom in on the valley, I see Harlingen, I go to the coast, and then I find Port Mansfield. And I remember the intersection that we saw was Mansfield and Gulf. There it is. So this is where I go back to the start. Again, I wasn't by an intersection, and I had a decent ways to go before reaching Gulf. So I go towards Gulf, and then I stop right here at this entrance to the RV park. And I try to look for that on the map. I don't find it, but I do see like another road, the navigation drive. So I turn around, and I want to try to figure out how close I am to that. Back at the start, it was decently close, but I didn't really have any other clues, so I busted out this technique that I've seen other people do in their videos. They're like speedrun videos. They point the camera straight down at the road, point the compass due north, and then look at the orientation of the road and match it to the map. So I did that, and I scooched the marker just a little bit to the south, and I ended up getting close enough. Round number 5, and after like 2 seconds, I realized that I'm in Austin. The street size, the bike share station, and just the vibe are kind of the clues. So this is in downtown, and when I check the intersections, it says 8th and San Jacinto. So I just check how far away I am from that intersection. It's just a little bit to the north. So I go to the map, and I'm going to put the marker down as soon as I find the intersection, and we'll get the final 5,000. Wow, I did this one late at night, 1:30 in the morning. Degenerate. Anyways, there it is, 25,000 in 8 minutes and 25 seconds. I have time now to say that this run wasn't good enough to crack the top 3 that GeoGuessr shows on any given map. I think I needed like a sub 8 to do that. The fastest time on the leaderboard was in like the 3-minute range, so I feel like that's a reasonable goal to beat. I was expecting the level of difficulty of this map to be close to that of the city maps that I've done, but it was honestly closer in difficulty to Diverse World, mainly because of the 25-meter requirement to get a perfect score and the lack of round starting at an intersection. I completed a few runs before this one, but this was the first to be sub 10 and also faster than my Diverse World time. Because it's Texas, it doesn't require as much like critical thinking, so it's a nice break from Diverse World, and it's a bit easier to get into than like the whole United States, for example. As for this run, it was like very slow. Lots of places to save time. Hopefully, I can get a faster time without too much strain. Fastest round was obviously in Austin, but a funny thing is that this like specific location, I haven't seen it on the Austin map. And there's been a few rounds in the Texas map that are in Austin but aren't on the Austin map. Slowest rounds were at the beginning. It was almost like a perfect um, reverse chronological order. But the first round was the slowest in San Antonio, and obviously could have been a lot faster than that, or faster on it than I was. So yeah, anyways, that's about it. Thanks for watching.